Greetings and salutations, and this is Techrodot here with a new Let's Play, and today we are beginning Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back on the Insane Trilogy. So let's watch this little fun Vicarious Visions cutscene. You know, because we gotta. It's a really fun cutscene. So sit back and enjoy it. Sorry, I really need to drink some water. I just finished commentating the first Sly video, so I was like, yeah, I need to drink some water. But yeah, let's get into it. Without further ado. As soon as it passes me. No, do not overwrite save. Yes, sir. Let's go. Without further ado, let's go.
Crystals, of course. No!
But Dr. Cortex, to reach full power, we need not only your master crystal, but also the remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface. How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we'll need to find an enemy.
Crash! My battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
Looking back, I have quite a few gripes with the way the Insane Trilogy handles its voice acting. I don't mind most characters, but Engine in particular bugs me because he sounds way better in Crash 4. Like, he sounds so off in the Insane Trilogy and in Nitro Fuel for some reason, and he sounds really good in Crash 4. Cortex is good in all three. So is Crash. I think Crash's new voice in Crash 4 definitely sounds better, but he is good in all three. Coco is good in all three. Who else is in this game? Embryo is good in the Insane Trilogy and Crash 4. He is horrible in Nitro Fuel voice-wise, but I'll get into that. I'll get into that in a minute.
For the crude means used to bring you here, but I'd rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down. I need your help. Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now. We will speak again.
But yeah, what I meant by I'll get into that in a minute is, no offense to Tom Kenny, he's a really good voice actor. But I feel like he was miscast when they gave, like, Embryo him as a voice actor in Nitro Fuel, especially because they had other actors there who could have probably did a better job. Like, Tom Kenny is a really good voice actor, but I don't think Embryo is like the type of voice they should have went, oh, Tom Kenny could do this. No, Tom Kenny, every voice actor has their limits, including like the amazing ones. They all have their limits, and I don't think Tom Kenny was like a good choice for Embryo. You also had other actors in that cast who had already voiced mad scientist characters before, who could potentially sound like a good Embryo. You also had Roger Craig Smith in the cast already, who would go on to voice Embryo in Crash 4, so why not use him? Aside from Roger Craig Smith, you had John DiMaggio, who could probably do a good Embryo. You had Dwight Schultz as Nash and Papu Papu, who could probably do a good Embryo. I think both of them would have nailed Embryo in that game. I don't think they would have been as good as like Roger Craig Smith or Maurice LaMarche's Embryos, but I think it could have been really good. So it was always weird to me that they chose Tom Kenny out of the whole cast to be like, hey, you're voicing Embryo. It always felt like a weird decision. But even with him being casted, I also feel like Tom Kenny could have done a better voice. I don't blame that on Tom Kenny. I blame that on the voice direction, quite honestly. Because I think that's really where Nitro Fuel gets messed up. Because even though I have a few gripes with the voice acting in the Insane Trilogy nowadays, Nitro Fuel really bugs me. Because outside of, like, certain voice actors, some just really sound off. And even in some cases, a voice actor who voices two characters could sound perfect as one and then horrible as another. I'll get into that in a minute.
Now listen carefully. These holograms are hard to maintain. During the course of my intellectual pursuits, I have stumbled across a force that threatens to destroy the world. The crystals are the only means of containing it. The fate of the world is at stake. It is imperative, therefore, that you bring them to me.
Are you there, Crash? Crash! Crash! Are you there, Crash? Are you there, Crash?
So what I meant by that last statement is that John DiMaggio in CTR Nitro Fuel voices Uka Uka, Tiny Tiger, and Von Clutch. Voicing Tiny Tiger and Von Clutch, he sounds amazing. I actually really like his take on both the characters. He's actually my favorite Tiny Tiger voice ever. Like, he really is. His Uka Uka, though. I already didn't care for his Uka Uka in the Insane Trilogy. I thought, like, the filter was unnecessary. And I felt like DiMaggio could have just done a voice. Like, could have done, like... He could have just did his, like, Crash of the Titans voice, but added, like, some gruffness to it. And it would have, like, been fine. He could have just, like, did that voice, but made it sound more menacing. That's what I'm getting at. And it would have been fine. It would have been okay enough. But they've put so many filters. I think that's my issue with Engine in, like, the Insane Trilogy and Nitro Fuel 2 is that, like, they put so many filters on his voice. It makes him sound awful. And it feels like in Crash 4 and Crash Team Rumble, they kind of got it right with Engine. And honestly, no offense to John DiMaggio, but I think Alex Fernandez should just be the permanent Uka Uka going forward, if possible. Because every game he voices Uka Uka in, he's like fantastic as him. And I think he's the best option we have without Clancy voicing him like Uka Uka, because we already know Clancy's not going to come back to the Crash series. Let's be real. He was the best Uka Uka, but I don't think he's ever coming back to the Crash series. But yeah, back to what I was saying, like, DiMaggio's Uka Uka in CTR Nitro Fuel is awful. It sounds nothing like the character. It's so bad that it's funny, actually. But I don't think that was his fault. I think that's what he was directed to sound like. Then, we have Tom Kenny, who does an amazing Spyro. He's the best Spyro voice, in my honest opinion. And I think he was perfect to voice Spyro in Reignited and CTR Nitro Fuel. I think that was perfect. But he also voices Embryo. And he sounds horrible as him. And then you have, what's another good? Debbie Derryberry, who voices Coco. Amazing. Has always done an amazing job as Coco, in my opinion. She voices Pastina Opossum as well. And honestly, I never liked characters with overly exaggerated Southern accents. It might be because I'm Southern, and their overly exaggerated Southern accents just sound like ear grating compared to what a traditional Southern accent, compared to what actual Southern accents sound like. It's a similar reason why I hate country music so much. Country music, the accents always sound so fake and exaggerated to me, and I hate it. But her voice is even worse in CTR Nitro Fuel than it was in Crash Tag Team Racing. Because Debbie Derryberry, she does a good Nina, she does a good Coco. Her Nina voice, I actually couldn't even tell it was her at first in CTR Nitro Fuel. I actually thought they got Amy Gross back, but no, it's actually Debbie Derryberry. And I was impressed. I was like, okay, she did a really good job with Nina, and she already did a fantastic job with Coco. So why is her Pasadena Awesome voice so ass? And I think it has a lot to do with voice direction. Because I think these voice actors could nail these voices. I think they have the ability to. And if they don't, then the casting was just a bad decision overall when they had other actors on the cast already who could probably do better. So I don't blame the voice actors for that. I really don't. I blame the voice direction and the casting. Now, I had no problem with the reusing voice actors for different characters because they had like 40-something characters in that game. It'd be ridiculous to hire a different voice actor for each one. Even though that's eventually what they did in Crash 4, aside from Engine and Oxide, who still share a voice. But still. But Crash 4 didn't have that many characters. Crash 4 has, let me count. There's Crash Coco, Dingo Dio, Aku Aku, Tana, Uka Uka, that's 6. Cortex, Embryo, Engine, Oxide, that's 10. Entropy 1 and Entropy 2, that's 12. That's 12 as opposed to 48 characters. I think it's 48 instead of Nitro Fueled. So, Crash 4 had the luxury of them having a small amount of characters, so almost every character could have their own unique voice actor. That makes sense. And honestly, I do like the recastings in Crash 4. I really do. I think they're an improvement. And the voices they kept are the best they ever sounded. Like, I think Crash 4 is Lex Lang's and Corey Burton's best performances as Cortex, Engine, and Nitrous Oxide, respectively. And Fred Tatasciar's Dingo Dio has definitely gotten better, because I hate his Dingo Dio in the Insane Trilogy, but he sounds really good in Nitro Fuel. Then he sounds like even better in Crash 4. So him returning as Dingo Dio was good. I think that's all the returning voice actors. Everyone else got recast. Actually, no. Greg Eagles still voiced Aku Aku. He's always done... Sorry for hitting the mic. He's always done a good job as Aku Aku, with maybe the exception of CTR Nitro Fuel, because he sounds a little off there. But again, I think it's voice direction. Uka Uka, I'm pretty sure, is voiced by Alex Fernandez in Crash 4. He's left as uncredited, but it sounds like the grunts you hear of his and the laugh at the end of one of the post-ending credits that have him laughing sounds like the Alex Fernandez Uka Uka. Though it could be DiMaggio just doing a different take on the character, or it could be one of the new voices doing a voice for him. Who knows? He's left uncredited. Engine, the weird thing is, Engine and Oxide are also left uncredited, but I know it's Corey Burton because it's his take on the character right here. I think Corey Burton is the best Oxide. Oxide, I think, has had 3 different voices. He had one in, like, the original CTR, and then he had one in C and K, and then CTR Nitro Fueled and Crash 4. Had a 3rd one. But yeah, I think he is the best Oxide. Hands down.
So, you are helping Cortex gather crystals. Yet, you have acquired a gem. Interesting. Well, Crash, know this. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If the fate of the world is truly your concern, you must gather the gems, not the crystals. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser. Ah, yes, a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he has created. Until then, I must use my forces to stop you from gathering crystals.
I love Embryo. He's one of my favorite Crash villains, honestly, because, like, it mainly has to do with his voice, but it also has to do with how he's portrayed in his design and everything. He's, like, really unique, and I love that. But he's voiced by Maurice LaMarche in this game, and he's voiced by Roger Craig Smith in Crash 4, who does a really good LaMarche impression. He's also voiced by LaMarche in Crash Might Over Mutant. He's voiced by Brandon O'Brien, who voiced every Crash character in Crash 1, as well as Ingen and Tiny. He voiced Embryo in Crash 1, 2, and I think Crash Bash, I want to say. I don't know if they had voice lines of Crash Bash, but I think if they did, he was voiced by him there. Who knows? The weird thing is, up until Crash 3, the only voice actors the series had was Clancy Brown and Brandon O'Brien. In the first game, every character was voiced by Brandon O'Brien. Oh wait, no, they had a female voice for Coco in the original Crash 2. I don't remember what her name was, though. But they only had those three. And Brandon O'Brien voiced everyone in Crash 1. And then he voiced Ingen and Embryo in Crash 2, as well as Tiny. And then Clancy voiced Cortex in Crash 2, and Coco had her own voice actor in Crash 2. It was really Crash 3 when characters started, like, having their own unique voice actors more often. Because, like, in that game that introduces Entropy and Dingo Dio, who both had their own individual voice actors, Brandon O'Brien still voiced Crash, Ingen, and Tiny. Clancy voiced Cortex and Uka Uka. Coco still had her individual voice actor. Basically that. It wouldn't be... I don't think any Crash game ever had all the characters have individual unique voices until, like... I think the first one to ever do that, honestly, is probably Mind Over Mutant. Because in that game, Crash is voiced by Jess Harnell, Coco's Debbie Derryberry, Crunch is Chris Williams, Aku Aku is Greg Eagles, Uka Uka is John DiMaggio, Cortex is Lex Lang, Embryo is Maurice LaMarche, Ingen is Nolan North, and Nina is Amy Gross. I think that's the first game where every major character had a different voice actor. Sorry, I need to drink some more drink. I'm digging back on it. I think it depends though. Like who voiced like characters in tag team racing? Because like I know who voiced the main six in that game, obviously, but I gotta like look at who voiced Von Clutch, Pasadena, and Willy Wampa Cheeks to really like see for sure if every voice was unique in that game, aside from like, you know, NPCs. I know the main six all had different voices. I did not know that. Quentin Flynn, the previous actor for Ingen before Nolan North, actually was in the same game as Nolan North. He voiced Chick Gizzard Lips in CTTR. Yeah, every major character in this game had a unique voice, by the way. That's okay. So it was CTDR. But I'm gonna go back further. The definitive answer for this. What was the first Crash game that had all unique voice actors for the characters? No characters sharing voice actors. I'm going all the way back to Twinsanity. Let's look at it. I don't think Twinsanity did that, but I'm curious now. Crash no voice actor. Cortex Lex Lang. Aku Aku Mel Winkler. Rest in peace. Entropy Michael Enzyme. Same guy who voiced him in Crash 3. And I think C and K. Madeline Amberly, Susan said. Okay, no, there is a repeated voice actor here. Madeline Amberly and Nina shared a voice actor, even though I think she only did a gasp for Nina. Young Cortex and Coco also shared a voice actor. That farmer NPC and Uka Uka shared a voice actor. But I'm not going to count that last one because, like I said, NPCs don't count. Dingo Dio and Papu Papu shared a voice actor. Okay, yeah, that definitely qualifies. The main villains and Engine shared a voice actor. Yeah, definitely. Like, there were too many repeat ones in that one. Let's look at Nitro Kart. Nitro Kart is a special game. It's the only game in the franchise where Crash is voiced by Steve Blum. Looking here. Nope, Crash and Velo share voice actor. Going back. The Rat to Cortex. I already know Engine and Entropy share voice actor in this game. Going back. And so do Uka Uka and Cortex. Yeah, and on the on that topic, due to the Uka Uka and Cortex shared voice actor, I can rule out Crash Bash. I can rule out Crash Bash, CTR, Warped. All of those can be ruled out. So yeah, the first Crash game where everyone had a unique voice actor, every major character did, was Crash Tag Team Racing. And the only other one that's done it after that is Mind Over Mutant. So that is interesting. Apparently Mark Hamill voiced in Mind Over Mutant as the Xenu. That's interesting. Imagine getting like an amazing actor like Mark Hamill, and then you just tell him, "Hey, you gotta voice this enemy type that's just gonna be heard a few times in the game. That's it." Because if I remember correctly, I don't think the Xenu are around that long. So that's interesting. We're almost to the end of the video though, so sorry about my rambling about Crash voice actors. I've already gave my opinion though, my opinion on Embryo. Worst voice actor is Tom Kenny. Best one I would actually give to Roger Craig Smith. As much as I love Maurice LaMarche, I do think Roger Craig Smith does the best Embryo. Maurice LaMarche is a close second, then it'd be Brandon O'Brien, and then Tom Kenny. And the only one I don't like as Embryo is Tom Kenny. So I might only do 2 recording sessions for today, because my throat's starting to get scratchy from all this. I might need to rest my voice after this video. So, tried to get all 3 for the week recorded today, but that didn't seem to work out. So, looks like we'll just be doing these 2, and I'll do Sly Part 2 another day. But yeah, we are already at the end of the level. Didn't we just start this one? Oh yeah, there are a ton of bosses. I think you have to get a gem later. I know I get all the gems in this playthrough, but I do it off screen. But yeah, I think you have to get a gem path for that one, if I remember correctly.
3 crystals. Not bad. I see you are getting the hang of it. I need to conserve power. I will communicate with you again after you retrieve the 5th crystal.
Anyway, I'm ending off the video here, so bye.